safe with you guys here. Thank you.
Are you okay?
Yes.
Quit school.
Oui, quitter school. Voilà.
Come to Florida, 2700 block Florida Ave NW. They're going to take us against the next one in Bystanders.
¿Todo está bien?
Pero yo le he hecho una
Dime su nombre y fecha de nacimiento.
So you came in this country, okay, as a J1. Listen. You came in this country. A lot of people you came in this country as a J1, as exchange visitor. You didn't show up. You just came in. You didn't show up. You worked. You lied when you came in. Okay? So on August 25th, they inactivated your account. You're not even supposed to be here. You're supposed to be working somewhere else. Some ironwork company. That's why you were allowed to come in. Okay.
Yes, he's illegal. You're right.
Hijo, dime su nombre y fecha de nacimiento. Nombre y fecha de nacimiento por la Sure. Mismo.
Did it, guys. Team America. You saved us. We should have been there with those fucking kids the other day in church.
Well, and we really are great. Just make sure you're not selling your souls to this bullshit. SS was just enforcing the law as if you couldn't do. There's going to come a day when you're going to have a line in the sand and say, you know what, I won't do this anymore. Figure out what that line is now. You got to figure out where you roll across your conscience because that day will come.
How do you want to be identified?
Ayana.
Okay. And what did you witness here?
I drove by and saw ICE and MPD arresting a young man on a scooter, and so I drove home just a couple blocks away and walked back as fast as I could to see if I could try to get the young man's name and birth date so that we could notify family. Just yesterday I saw a post of a daughter asking if anyone knew or had footage of her father being arrested. They knew he was taken by ICE, but they didn't know when or where, and they had no footage. And I figured if no one is there videotaping it, we got to get it on camera. And so while I was watching 3 different young men on mopeds, and it was exactly the same kind of young man, a young man who looked visibly Latino on a moped. All were wearing helmets. None were violating any traffic laws. They just got pulled over because they looked the part. And of those, 2 were taken away in unmarked vehicles. The student was let go. I got one man's name and birth date. And the other one, I don't know if he was like trying to pay attention to too much. He didn't give me anything, and he was wearing a mask too, so.
How do you feel?
Angry, sad, frustrated that I can't do more.
It's an absolute tragedy. Look, why do I have Homeland Security Initiative forces masked who have automatic weapons fucking putting checkpoints up in the middle of the capital of the United States of America to try and catch guys who are fucking delivering Uber Eats? It's absolutely insane. It's not necessary, and they don't need to be doing this. And if they don't want to do this, they can just quit. They're ruining these people's lives.
Gosh.
You are representatives of our government. Why are you masked? Right? This is supposed to be this great initiative that we, the people, have been clamoring for. Why are you masked? How am I supposed to actually, be able to identify you guys in a court case, right? Let's say this does actually go to court, right? How am I actually able to know who was present? Who was there? And then the MPD guys, fine, they're showing their faces. I appreciate that. But they're telling you to be respectful. Don't use cuss words while they're disappearing people. All right? While you have a president who says they don't have rights. They don't get the right to habeas corpus. We have a president that's trying to send 600 Guatemalan children in the middle of the night without parents to fucking Central America, and they're nitpicking you for language. All right? And they're saying, oh, it's ridiculous to tell them to quit. Why is it ridiculous? They're just doing their jobs. And I got the most bullshit conservative answer possible. I don't agree with everything that they're doing, okay? I agree with some stuff, but I don't agree with everything. Okay, which part do you fucking agree with? Do you agree with this? Do you agree with disappearing people? It doesn't matter the parts you disagree with, guess what? You do agree with them. Because they're not deal breakers, because you're still going forward with it, all right? That's not how it works.
I appreciate that they're not wearing masks. I appreciate that MPD is in a really difficult position right now. I understand that they do live here. They're not coming from other places to enforce a certain set of laws like ICE is. And I've lived in the neighborhood long enough to know that crime is in DC in the way crime is in any place where there are humans on earth, and MPD does help when they can. So I appreciate that many of them are in a difficult position. What I was saying to them was that I hope they are thinking through for themselves and drawing a sand in the line to say, when they ask me to do this, I will quit. Because there's gotta be something that crosses their conscience at some point. And if this isn't it, maybe it's when they start directing arrests of political opponents. When they start scouring the internet for who's posting videos, for who's talking about what's happening. And when those people start getting arrested, will MPD continue to cooperate? Will people start quitting their jobs? I hope that they will let their conscience direct their actions, because right now it seems like maybe for them it hasn't crossed the line, which I have a problem with, but I also understand that everybody's conscience is different. The other guys, the ICE guys, they're here in masks. They're not wearing identification. I could go to the Halloween store and pick up a costume and pretend to go start arresting people. And that's a real problem. That's really problematic and dangerous for everybody. And so I have a lot less patience with ICE right now. And I understand that MPD is getting yelled at right now by everyone. And I hope that by saying something to them about figuring out where their line in the sand is, they do actually think about that. Because I think the day will come when it's not just young Latino men on mopeds. And the day will come when it's not just Latinos, when it's not just people who look like immigrants.